with BPD, a lot of people with borderline tend to develop this like favorite person dynamic. And from a Christian perspective, it's almost like they're worshiping this person. So a big component of the book is breaking away from that dynamic and not worshiping a human because, well, no human is worthy of that worship.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Narcissist. I'm Asking for a Friend podcast. I'm excited to get right into our next episode because we're featuring a special guest.
It's
Sarah
awesome.
Rose is a writer and a website owner that helps people find a place to learn and communicate about the difficult dynamics of living with or doing life with a narcissist. Sarah Rose shares very transparently about her experiences on her website, in her book. Sadie's Favorite is the name of the book, soon to be released this spring, and in her music performed with her band. The soundtrack being released by Them versus Her features 8 ambient instrumental read along tracks to go with the novel, Sadie's Favorite, to help readers immerse themselves into the main character, Sadie's world. There are 3 bonus tracks specifically related to narcissistic abuse and borderline personality disorder recovery. Oh, gee, this sounds like a perfect spot for anybody that is dealing with those 2 things. You have borderline personality disorder and you're with a narcissist. That, definitely comes with a challenge. So tell us a little bit about what exactly the book is about.
Well, the novel, Sadie Williams. She's a former teen mom and a green-haired frontwoman of an ambient indie folk band called Midnight Musings, has a name that isn't hers, and 3 months until she's completely broke. As a girl, she was pegged as a slacker and a drama queen, and as a traumatized and love-obsessed early 20s something, she gave everything up to follow her heart. What awaited her was a seriously cool and disheartening adventure. It wasn't long until she was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now a failed freelancer, failed everything. In her 30s, Sadie leaves the comfort of familiarity and the life she betted on, sabotaged by bad decisions that's left her right where she started, and haunted by abuse and her own diagnosis. Sadie makes a vow to break the cycle for her preteen son, Logan, and get her life back once and for all. Sadie's Favorite tells the story of a girl lost, a woman recovered, and the trauma in between. It explores what love is, what it isn't, family, friendship, and the importance of keeping those you cherish close, but not too close. In a nutshell, the novel is about a woman recovering from borderline personality disorder. She's in a relationship with a very mysterious man that she is infatuated with, who happens to have very narcissistic traits. It really explores like the dynamics of the borderline and the narcissist relationship and everything that comes from that.
Well, in hearing that, do you believe that people that are with a narcissist but maybe have not had the diagnosis of borderline, do you think that they could benefit from reading the book as well, possibly?
Yes, we had a series of beta readers. Not everyone on the beta reader group had BPD, but a lot of them have either loved ones with narcissistic traits or loved ones with BPD traits, and it resonated with them. I do believe that it could help anyone, whether you're dealing with BPD or not. A lot of people who are involved with narcissistic like abuse do tend to have some like CPTSD symptoms or any kind of traits like that. And yeah, whether you have BPD or not, I do believe that this story could be impactful.
And I was reading your book, and excellent writing.
Thank
I
you.
highly recommend anybody that has an interest in this to definitely go there and order it when it's out. The thing that you had mentioned in the book was there may be some triggers for some people if they've been in a relationship that's been narcissistic. And so, have any of your readers, people that have written in, have any of them shared about being triggered?
A few, a few did say there were some triggering moments. It goes into detail about different types of abuse. I mean, it's a story, so it's all, creative writing. But I would say that mostly what I heard was that it was very relatable. It was touching in a way. It almost gave hope. So while it can be triggering, I do believe that there's an optimistic view. I can't tell you how it ends, of course, but I would say that while it is triggering, there's hope. Like it's not all dark.
That's excellent. That's what I think the readers are going to be looking for, is something hopeful too, something that they can relate to, identify with in some ways. I mean, this all sounds good. So if people do want to, dialogue a little bit more with you and people that maybe are your followers and listeners and readers eventually, where can they go to find out a little bit more, maybe even be involved in whatever the conversations are that are going on?
Well, the website that I own is called BPD Beautiful. So bpdbeautiful.com is where you would like that's our home base. You would find all of our socials. We have a contact page. We have email. And then we're on Facebook, Instagram, all those platforms. They're all linked on the website. And that's the website is we're publishing it through the website. So, if you want to find out more about Sadie's Favorite, you can go to bpdbeautiful.com/Sadie's Favorite. One word, of course, without any hyphen there. And you could definitely strike up a conversation with me. I would love to hear from anyone who happens to be watching.
Great, thank you. Perfect. That's wonderful. So for people that maybe are not familiar with what borderline personality disorder is, I like how you lay it out in the book, the different symptoms of that. So if you don't mind, I'm just going to read that for our listeners so that because they're used to hearing me talk about narcissism. What's
Yeah.
really the difference between narcissistic personality disorder and borderline personality disorder? So, for a person with borderline, and not all of these would a person with personality borderline personality disorder display. Some of them may not be.
Yeah.
So, but I'll just read the list. So, efforts to avoid real or perceived abandonment, pattern of intense and unstable relationships, distorted or shifting self-image or sense of self, impulsive, self destructive behaviors such as overspending, unsafe sex, reckless driving, substance abuse, and binge eating, intense and highly variable mood swings, chronic feelings of emptiness, recurring thoughts of suicide or behaviors, intense rage and problems controlling anger, dissociation, feelings of unreality, and self harm. So those are, just kind of a list that could be something that somebody experiences that has that type of a diagnosis. So
Yeah.
in the relationship with, and I'm thinking about the book now, I want the readers to understand that because the book is dealing with really intense emotions at times, both from the narcissist and for the person with borderline personality disorder, you're not going to always hear or read Pollyanna words. You're not going to always hear these words that are maybe friendly to the ears, because it's the reality of and the nature of the issues that are going on. And so when Sarah Rose was writing the book, she was remembering what conversation sounded like. And so if you get offended easily, I know we're coming from a Christian perspective. Sarah and I are both Christians. If you will get offended by reading anything like that, there is a trajectory that goes on in the book for the main character. And so Sadie is ever changing because she too becomes a Christian. And so you have to be prepared for the fact that, you're gonna maybe read a few things that you maybe not like. I don't want you to go into this without knowing that. So I'm putting that out there for you.
Yeah.
but it's an excellent book and an excellent read. And Sarah Rose is an excellent writer. She's very talented. She's got a beautiful voice. She sings beautifully, and she has a lot of things that she wants to share with you. And so hopefully you'll become one of her followers on the and in her website and everything. So tell us some other things, Sarah, that you know would be helpful for the people that read the book or people that listen to the music that you have with them versus her. Tell them what you are looking forward to having them enjoy about it.
I'm looking forward to having people relate. I run BPD Beautiful. I wrote this book. Obviously, I have the history of having BPD. I'm in remission now, and I have a very long history of dealing with narcissistic abuse, of course, because they seem to attract each other. So I've run into a handful of narcissistic people, and I know firsthand what it's like to be trapped in that situation. I know how hard it is to get yourself out. And through any of my work, I've always, all the feelings just come out. And usually, when people have either listened or read a blog post or anything related, I get a lot of feedback that it's very relatable. It's highly relatable. Um, and usually, I guess when you're in that situation, it's nice to know that other people get it.
Yes, you're not alone.
Yeah, no, you're not alone. So that's what I look forward to.
Yeah, yeah. And the music, it sounds like it's probably something that's a little bit more like a peaceful.
Yeah, the 8 tracks, they're instrumental. It's peaceful music. It's not like rock music. It's in the style, not of my band necessarily. My band did record it, but we're more of a like an indie emo alternative kind of band. With Sadie's band, it's more if it's an ambient like folk band. So they don't really have too many vocals. It's mostly like piano. While I was editing the book and writing it, I was actually listening to the soundtrack. So it's just kind of a way to like just immerse yourself into the world of Sadie and the characters. I would say it's peaceful. It's,
That's
you
great.
know.
They're trying to find connection with other people that have gone through it. They're trying to, have this feeling I'm not alone in this. Other people are going through it. And then what better way to do that but to, be reading and having some nice peaceful music playing in the background that's actually centered around the idea is so creative to actually write music and have music playing with a book. I never ever heard of it. So how many people are in your band?
We have 4 members. I'm the singer, the bassist, and then we have our rhythm guitarist, we have our lead guitarist, and our drummer, Howie, Matt, and Anthony.
So cool. Before we, maybe segue into some other thoughts, are there things about the book, anything that you want to, focus on to make sure that people are understanding?
I know this is your podcast is mostly like it comes from a Christian perspective. And I do want to say that like there's definitely a spiritual journey, strengthening of faith and relationship with Jesus throughout the book. I
Great.
prayed a lot as I wrote it. I asked God to guide me, to guide my words. So yeah, I just hope you'll give it a shot.
I think that that's great. Yeah, as I was reading it, I could see that. Of course, it's only the first 8 chapters. I haven't gotten to see the rest yet. I look forward to when that does come out, so I can read the whole thing. I could see that this was a process that Sadie was going through. She didn't have a whole lot in the beginning that made it sound like her life was in turmoil, but then I could see how it began to build. And so, and which is what happens in life, right? Life ebbs and flows with different things for everybody. And so it's a book that's really transparent on your part to be really, honing in on the issues of this borderline with the narcissist.
I think a lot of the book dives into how, I mean, the title of the book is Sadie's favorite. And the reason for that is because obviously if you don't know anything about BPD, which you may not, with BPD, a lot of people with borderline tend to develop this like favorite person dynamic, and from a Christian perspective, it's almost like they're worshiping this person. So a big component of the book is breaking away from that dynamic and not worshiping a human because, well, no human is worthy of that worship.
Exactly. So
Um,
good. Oh, that's so good. It gives me chills just hearing that.
yeah, so it's from a Christian perspective. I mean, I wrote it for different kinds of demographics, knowing that there were non-Christians that would read this, and then there's also Christians. Um, I wrote it with the intention of showing that like that spiritual like awakening where you're kind of realizing like, hey, these all of these people, like everyone on this earth is just super flawed in our own way, and that we shouldn't be depending on people, especially a narcissistic person, for validation. It dives into various different abuse tactics, mainly focusing on the emotional aspect, the emotional abuse. Not, I think a lot of media that covers like abuse will just go into like the physical aspect, where emotional abuse is just so insidious and it's the effects are long lasting. So I think that's also another big component is that this abusive relationship may not be so much physical, but it's heavily emotionally abusive. And those effects, that kind of abuse can lead to, um, I guess, post traumatic stress or, um, it causes flashbacks and nightmares, and it can cause you to question your identity and it shatters your confidence. So really the whole book, the story is mostly like a coming of age as well as showing this woman getting out of this dynamic. And the crazy thing is that for like half the book she doesn't even realize that it's abusive. Um so I mean it covers that kind of stuff. It also covers, finding a new support system, building that support system. It covers prioritizing other relationships as well, not just one singular person. Um, and it dives into prioritizing your relationship with Jesus.
I love that. That's beautiful. Wow. So so beautiful. I mean, the aspect of having a relationship with somebody that becomes, your target person because that is the person you're trying to draw from for, self-worth, and then that person always comes back failing at it because they don't know how to do that. So it's like the worst person that you can pick is a narcissist when that's what you're needing, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, your person that you really want to go to is the Lord, and having a relationship with him. That's beautiful. Yeah, the narcissist is definitely not the person that's worthy of your time and your efforts and your attention. And yeah, and that's interesting how that whole dynamic develops between the person that is struggling with the borderline, and then how they're attracted to that person. There's also an aspect of somebody that does not have borderline personality disorder, but they're, maybe had a caretaker or somebody, important as an adult when they were a child in their life that was a narcissist, those people can actually be attracted also to that, because if they had a narcissist that had spoken into their lives in any way, then they'll also, by they call it repetition compulsion, they will be attracted to narcissists also, because now they're just trying to, their subconscious mind thinks they need that kind of a relationship. So it's kind of odd how we are as human beings, right? We have the subconscious mind that we're attracted to certain types, and it's like it's hard to shake that sometimes. And our knee-jerk reactions are to go in that direction. But have you learned that there's ways for you, like whether it's like a friend that you're making, and then all of a sudden something comes up and you realize, oh, I think that person might be a narcissist. Have you figured out ways to stop yourself from getting too enmeshed with that person?
Oh yeah. I mean, I've had like 14 years of therapy at this point. It took a lot of work, but I've really honed in on that gut instinct. So, I mean, it happened recently. I met someone and I just, I just had like a bad feeling in like my spirit that like, okay, this isn't someone I really want around. I don't even get involved. Once I have that gut instinct, I wash my hands of it and I just walk away. Um, I have my own little like routines and the kinds of people that I allow into my life, and I'm very particular about the kind of people I allow into my life. Um, I wouldn't, I mean, if you can help it, keep your distance as soon as you get that feeling. I mean, anyone who's overly judgmental of others, anyone who is overly negative, or likes to play the victim, or they kind of like do a lot of guilt trips, or they're very controlling, and it can be subtle. I anyone that displays little traits of that. I mean, there may not necessarily be a narcissist.
They have tendencies, possibly.
Yeah, but it's just even just the traits alone can do serious damage.
Especially if somebody that's had some kind of abuse in the past with a narcissist, because then that's triggering
Yeah.
dealing with.
Yes, it's incredibly triggering. So, I mean, it could also just be that old trauma that I have from my own experience. You
Yeah,
know, it that's what that gut instinct is.
yeah,
It's all past experience, just like, something's a little off about this. I trust my gut. Um, I'm pretty sure there's some science behind that like you should trust your gut instinct. And the horrible thing about narcissistic abuse is that it's it programs you to go against that gut instinct and question your intuition and your wisdom. It has you question yourself and second guess yourself. So yeah, really honing in on that is so important for healing.
absolutely, absolutely. Being true to yourself before you're true to any human being, like you've got to continue to um, remain intact with your identity, and that's what happens to the identity of a person really struggles then, because it's like the things that you used to like you're no longer allowed to like anymore, and the things that they like now have to be your new likes, and it's just a lot of losing of yourself. So
Yeah.
being able to see that and being able to stay away from allowing that to happen, that takes some strength. I think it also takes self-awareness. And so for you, Sarah Rose, you have a lot of self-awareness. You've gotten there. And so for the people that are listeners, the people that are on your website and looking you up and everything, they need to realize that if they've not gone for help with this, they really ought to find somebody that they can talk to the way that you have. You've taken such good care of yourself with mental health and allowing yourself to really get as far as you've gotten with this, so that you are smart to it, and not everybody's there yet. So having a place like your website, bpdbeautiful.com, being able to go there and get connected with people that can help and give hope is really beautiful. It's
Yeah.
bpd beautiful.
Yes. Yeah, I'm honestly, none of this would have been possible alone. It's all been led by God. Like I've made Jesus such a huge he's everything. So it's all possible because of him.
That is so good. Yeah, no matter what we're going through in life, God will make a way to help us through if we seek Him. And no matter what it is, whatever the issue of life might be, God is there listening and ready and able to help us if we just really surrender to Him, right? It's a matter of surrender. And sometimes, in life, it's not that easy to say, okay, I leave it in your hands, God, I'm surrendering to you. Now, now we need to know what does that look like, right? So, but he's faithful. He'll put you in the right places at the right time with the right people, and he'll help you to get through this, whatever the difficulty might be. So, thank you for that, Sarah Rose. We're blessed to have had you on here, and we're happy that you're willing to share as much as you have here on the podcast, but also what you're sharing through your website, through all the other social media. You got to let me know when the book is out so that I can make sure that people hear more about it and are ready to, get what they need there for it, for a reading book, listening to the music, and everything that you've offered there.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming on, and
Thank you for having me.
our pleasure. So, well, you have a good one, and we will be in touch.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, bye bye.
Bye.